to write queries. Okay. Next, mapping your object to a table is hard. And here again, Hibernate will take our object and map into a table. Okay, how it is going to do? I thought you will just have a recap once again. Okay. Then foreign key establishment is a tough job. And again, Hibernate will help us to establish connection between the two tables by providing some annotations. Okay, the fifth step, that is the fourth drawback, that is you have to perform all five steps in order to get connection to the database, and this is avoided by a uh, file called persistence. Sorry. This is avoided by a file called persistence persistence.xml provided by JPA. Okay, so this thing we learned there is a we have to write SQL queries always, and we got a solution that Hibernate and JPA. They are providing some methods to perform CRUD operations, and we had an issue of connecting what mapping an object into a table where you have to know which is the column index value, and what is the parameters you're exactly passing. Everything you have to take care of that you don't need to do when using a Hibernate. Okay, then again think foreign key establishment is a tough job, and here again Hibernate will help us to build a relationship between two tables or many tables by using some annotations, and that is provided by Hibernate, as I said. Then again, the fourth drawback is performing all five steps. Whenever you have to get connection to a database, you have to perform all five steps in order to interact with the database. And here again, our JPA provides a file called persistence.xml. Through this, we can get the connection whenever we want without performing the um, all five steps. Okay, so this is what we learned. And next we talked about the difference between JPA and Hibernate. Hibernate. So, as you already know, JPA is an acronym for Java Persistence API, and it is just a specification. Okay, it is just a specification, and it cannot alone alone perform all the operations. Okay, and Hibernate here is a ORM tool. Hibernate is a ORM tool. Okay, ORM tool. And what is ORM tool? ORM tool are the ones that are following ORM functionality. ORM functionality. What is ORM functionality? It is the process or method, or even you can call it as technology of mapping an object to a table. Okay, mapping an object to a table. and and as I said, JPA cannot perform all the operations by alone, and it needs it needs some, or you can say it needs a ORM tool ORM tool to give implementations, or you can even say it needs implementations. It needs implementations. It needs implementations provided by the ORM tool. And what is ORM tool? It is a functionality. An ORM tool is something that is following a ORM functionality. It is a process of mapping an object to a table. So how it is going to map? Say you have a class, you have a class person, you have a class person, and you have attributes such as id and name. Okay, id and name. And when you create an object of this, when you create an object of this ORM technology will map this object into a table. Say id will be the column, and name is an attribute, and name will be the column. If there is email, another column will be added with a column name as email. So whatever the attribute name you have it here, same name will be the column name, and whatever the class name you have, the same name will be the table name. Okay, that is one thing we learned, and this is the difference between Hibernate and JPA. Okay, JPA is just a specification. Okay, it has set of interfaces, and it needs implementation, and the implementation is given by the Hibernate. Okay, this is how they both are working together. Okay, then let us go to our Eclipse and see how we imported, just like MySQL, where we have to import a jar file. Just like MySQL, we have to import a jar file in order to um, get the properties of Hibernate and JPA. Okay, so here we didn't go for the normal Java project. We went for the Maven projects. So I'll just create a new Maven project for you people. So say new, and so new, so new Maven project. Okay, I selected Maven project, and I'll say create a simple Maven project. Okay, next I'll go, and in order to create your project, you have to give a group ID and artifact ID. We'll just give com.ty.hibernate hibernate seat class 2. Okay, class 2. Then we'll just say project name as hibernate class 2. Okay, now the artifact ID will be a project name, and the group ID is specifying your like if you say com, that is something called company or commercial, and if you say ty, it's a company name. Here I'm just telling test yantra. Okay, and hibernate here I have mentioned is a um, project name, something like that. Okay, so your group ID will be consisting of your company, what type of company, what is the name of the company, what is the team name, what is the project. All these details will be in your group ID. For randomness, we have just took a random group ID here. Okay, just say finish. So as you can see here, my build process is going on. My main project is getting built. It is being built already. So this is Hibernate class 2. We have all the folders we want here, and here you have something called pom.xml. Okay, what is this pom.xml? Until today you used to go to the Maven repository, download a jar file, and you have to add that jar file into your library, system library. Okay, and there is a reference library for a path created. Here this pom.xml will take something called dependency. Okay, will take something called dependency, and these dependencies will download the jar file for you. So okay, I opened the dependencies tag, and here you can add a dependency. Okay, you can add a dependency. Say I need a MySQL connector J. MySQL connector J is a artifact ID of MySQL. So I'll just say MySQL. You can directly get this from. I'm speaking loudly, guys. This is very loud. I'm speaking. Can you people hear me properly? Is there an issue, guys? Is there any issue? Do I have to speak early or like loudly? Okay, most of them don't have any issues. Just increase your volumes if can, if it's possible. So this is how you add a jar file. So how is this dependency tag downloading a jar file for me? If you want to see that, just look at my hierarchy here, my Maven project hierarchy. There is just a JRE system library, this resources path, Java path, resources path, Java path, and some SRC folders here. And as soon as I say I save this pom.xml, here you can see a build process going on. Here in the bottom left, okay, bottom left, sorry, bottom right, you will be seeing a build process going on. I'll just say control save. As soon as that happened, you got the Maven dependencies path here. First, you didn't have it. Okay. If you open this, your MySQL connector J is being downloaded. This is how it will get downloaded just because of this dependencies tag. If you add this dependencies tag, whatever Sneha, you have listened yesterday's class also. I'm sorry, I cannot repeat it. I'm giving a recap. Okay. I don't know where you're concentrating on. This is your second class, Neha, and you're telling to repeat. I'm surprised. Okay, fine. We'll continue. And we need a Hibernate dependency also. So let us not worry about how to add these and all. It's a bit complicating remembering group ID. We're remembering the artifact ID of a jar file and remembering the version that we want. It's a bit hard. So what we will do, we'll just go to our Google Chrome and search for Maven repository. Okay, I'll just go for Maven repository here. I went for Maven repository and I'll search for Hibernate core. I search for Hibernate core relocation. Okay, it is something called Hibernate core relocation. Okay, so here you get a first option Hibernate core relocation. You'll type on it and you have to select the most used version. Okay, we'll not go for the six versions because it is still in a build process as you can see here. So we'll just go for a version, say 5.6.14 used by 141 people. Okay, 5.6.14.final. You just click on the version and you get this dependencies tag here. Instead, first we used to do what we used to do, we just used to download the jar file and add that jar file over there. Now we will not do that. We will just copy this dependency. You can see here, as you can see, there is a dependency. Okay, the specified dependency for this particular version. I'll just copy this. I copied this. Now I'll come back to my form.xml and paste it here. That's it. So as soon as I saved, I'll open my main dependency. Before I had MySQL connector J only. Now you can see there are so many jar files being downloaded, and here we will be using some of them. Mainly one of them, that is Java X dot persistence dot sorry Java X hyphen persistence hyphen API jar file, and in that we'll be using a Java X dot persistence package. Okay, anything we are using, it will be from the Java X dot persistence package. Okay, so let us build a project in it and try try to understand what is going on here. Okay, so let us create a let us create a user. Is it say? Okay, I'll just say user. This is a DTO class. Okay, DTO class, I'll just say user, and I'll give some package name com.py dot hibernate hibernate dot DTO. Just say class 2. class. Okay, I just said class 2. I'll just finish it. Okay, now I created a package Hibernate class 2, and here I have a user class. Now a user will be having an ID. I'll say naming conventions. We'll follow naming conventions from here. ID. I'll just say private string username, and I'll just say private string user email. Okay, we have three attributes, and we'll generate a getter setter for this. Generate a getter setter. I've generated getter setter for this. Okay. Now, in order to create an object for this user, save an object of this user, we will create another class of DAO type, data access object. Okay. We'll create a data access object of user type. I'll just say user DAO. Okay. We created a user DAO, and here in order to, here as I told, we will not be following the 5 steps of JDBC. Okay, we have something called, as you can come back here, I told you that we will not be dealing with the 5 steps and all those things. Okay, we will not be dealing with 5 steps and all those things, but we have some three interfaces. We have three interfaces provided by JPA. JPA is providing. Okay, what it is providing? Entity manager factory. It is an interface. Okay, then we have another interface called entity manager. This is also an interface. And we have another interface called entity entity transaction. Okay, this is also an interface. In order to get connection and to interact with the database, we are using these three interfaces here in Hibernate. Okay, so how are we going to use? Since these are interfaces, for all these you will be getting the implementation from Hibernate. Okay, from Hibernate. In Hibernate, as you can see, go check in a Hibernate if you want. In the jar file, you'll be having a jar file called, in Maven dependencies. If you check, you have a jar file called org.hibernate something. Okay, org.hibernate something. You will be having a jar file. Inside that, you'll be having a package with the same name. This package will be providing the implementation for all of these. Okay, internally, we are not going to do anything related to Hibernate, but we will be using these three. Okay, only these three. Will not worry what is Hibernate doing. It is doing something internally. Will not be worrying at all. Okay, now, what is the use of this entity manager factory, and how do you get a object for the entity manager factory? You have a helper class provided with the JPA itself, that is persistence. This is a class present in JPA itself. JPA means what? JPA everything related to JPA is present in a package java x dot persistence. Okay, it is present in a package java x dot persistence, and anything you are importing will be from this package itself. Throughout Hibernate, you will be importing everything from this package itself. By mistake also, if you import from different package, it is not going to work. Okay, so how do you create an object for the entity manager factory? We will create a variable of entity manager factory type, say entity manager factory. Okay, entity manager factory, I'll declare a variable emf. Just say emf equals, now I should call a persistence class. Okay, this persistence class has a method. I'll say dot, it is a non sorry static method. It is the name is create. I'll write it in short, guys. EMF means create in entity manager factory. Okay, create entity manager factory. I'm writing it in short. It is a full length word. Okay, entity manager factory, don't get confused for that also. Create entity manager factory. Okay, this particular method will be taking a string, some string. Okay, what is this string? What is the string? It is a persistent unit name. So, what is this persistent unit name? It is a tag attribute. Okay, okay. It is again. What is this persistent unit name is? It is. I just write from here. It is a attribute attribute value of a tag called persistence unit. Okay, where is this tag present? This tag is present in persistence.xml file. So this file contains a tag, HTML tags, right? Like that only XML also is configured using tags only. Okay, so you have a tag called persistence unit name. So you have a tag called persistent unit, and its attribute is called name. Okay, so that value you have passed for that name attribute, the value you have passed, you're going to use it here. Okay, some value in a string format. Okay, I'll just say XYZ for now. This particular value that you have passed here, the key you can say, okay, you have passed here, will do the two steps, that is loading and registering. It's, okay, what are your two steps? That is loading and registering is done, and your establishing connection is also done here. Here itself both is done. Okay, next, now you have got your connection using entity manager factory and providing the object of entity manager factory type by using a method called create entity manager factory, which is taking your persistence unit name. What is this persistent unit name? Who don't know still now, don't worry, we will be seeing along with the project. Okay, just remember that there is some name that we are going to give here from a persistent.xml file, from a persistent.unit uh, what tag. Okay, now next, in order, we have done two tasks here, loading and registering and connection in one step. Okay, next you have to, the second step is entity manager factory, creating an object for entity manager. Okay, getting an object for entity manager. Again, it is an interface. What I will do, I'll create a variable, and this particular object here will give me the method to get a object for my entity manager. So I'll just call my entity manager factory type object, that is EMF, and I'll say dot, and it has a method, a non-static method called create entity manager. Yes, it has a method called create entity manager. It is a non-parameterized method, and it will return a entity manager type object. Okay, so what is this entity manager is doing? This entity manager will basically provide us four methods. What are they? They are persist, persist method. There is a merge method. There is a find method, and there is remove method. Okay, these four methods will perform all CRUD operations that we want. A persist method is used. A persist method is used to use. It is used for save operation. Okay, it is used for save operation. Merge method is used for update update operation. Find method is used for uh, read operation or finding operation only, you can say. Okay, to finding operation or read operation, you can tell. And remove method is used for, as the name itself says, it is used for delete operation. Okay, so you got to know why we need an object for entity manager, so that we can perform all these steps. Okay, all these things. Okay, next, now through this we avoided creating statement here. Methods will perform our saving, updating, and all these um, what tasks. So we don't actually need to create statement on all those things. So what is our third step? Creating statement and executing query. We avoid this step. Using these methods, inbuilt methods, we will just call methods and pass objects, and they will do the operation for us. How are we going to do? We will learn. Okay. Now, then, then we have certain methods to perform certain operations, and we have entity manager factory to get connection for us. But this connection cannot stay active. Okay, it cannot stay active or throughout the process or throughout whenever your application is running, because it can be hacked and a third party person can access your connection and get the data from your database. Since data is a very secured thing, it should be secured. Therefore, we need to say when are we transacting the data and when are we not transacting the data to the database to make it more secure. Then we have another interface called, for this we have another interface called entity transaction. Okay, we have another interface called entity transaction. Let us declare a variable of entity transaction et, and again here our entity manager has a method. Okay, I'll just call my entity manager here. It has a method get transaction, which is a non-parameterized method. Transaction, and it is a non-parameterized method. This particular method will be returning a entity transaction type object, and using this object we will access for two methods. Okay, two methods, that is begin and commit. Okay, these are the two methods that we are going to use in order to begin the transaction and the end the transaction. So how are they going to be used? So this begin will start the transaction to with the database, and this commit will end the transaction with the database. So you got to know why, what are we exactly, what is the thing that we have to perform. Now we'll just go for our Eclipse and try to create this entity manager factory and get an implementation for this entity manager factory. Okay, entity manager factory. I got a suggestion, and I'll say EMF equals, in order to get an object for entity manager factory, I have to call my persistence class, persistence dot create entity manager factory, and I have to pass some persistence unit name. We will get to know what is this persistence very soon. I will, for randomness, I'll be saying it as sigma. Okay, for randomness, I'll be saying it as sigma, and how it is going to get connection, we will be learning. Don't worry. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, please tell me answer for transaction, sir. Entity transaction.
Yes, Jonathan.
Sir, please tell me also that for entity transaction for what purpose, sir?
Janardhan, please wait until I finish. Okay, don't interrupt in the middle. Okay, so we have entity manager. We have entity now. In this step, as I said, we have loaded and registered, loading and registering. Registering is done. Registering is done, and we have also done the connection establishment step. So getting connection is done. Okay, in this step, next we have to create a entity manager type variable through which we can use our CRUD operation methods. Okay, so entity manager, this entity manager type object is given by our entity manager factory object. Entity manager factory object, that is EMF, it has a method called create entity manager. It is a non-parameterized method, and this will give us methods access to methods such as such as persist persist, which takes a object as a parameter, object as parameter, and it is going to give us an access for merge method. It also takes object as parameter. Okay, Then it gives us find method. Find method will take our class name, as parameter along with a primary key. I'll just say it in short, PK. Okay, a primary key of a ID. Okay, object's primary key it will be taking. Okay, then we get to access another method called remove. I told you what these methods are doing. Remove also takes an object as a parameter. Okay, so using entity manager, we will be accessing these four methods in order to perform CRUD operation. Okay, then we have an entity transaction type object. We'll just declare a variable for this, say et, and equals to entity transaction type object is given by a entity manager object. Entity manager has a method called get transaction, a static method, sorry, non-static method. It is going to give us a entity transaction type object. Again, it is a non parameterized method. And what is this entity transaction doing? It is going it is providing providing begin method, non parameterized method, and it is giving us a commit method. I don't know what doubt you can get from this transaction, guys. This transaction is nothing but it is going to say you when you are starting the transaction with the database and when you are ending the transaction with the database. And Janardhan, and you were there in the class, and we have performed the inserting operation using this. Okay, I'll just show you a demonstration without using entity transaction. What will happen? Okay, don't worry. So now we have everything that we want in order to interact with the database. This particular line has given us connection. This particular line is giving us methods to interact with the database so that we don't need to create statements and all. And this particular um, line or object, identity transaction type object, is going to give us some methods to say our database that we are going to transact a data, transact some data to the database. Okay, and now we are set with everything. We will just create a user type object. Okay, I have created a user. Okay, I have created a user class here, and let me just create a object of user. Okay, you know, I have told you that we will be using objects in order to interact with the database in Hibernate. And here let me create an object of user so that we can save that object into our database. Okay, so user equals new user. Okay, so this, let me set values. So user dot, okay, we have to create this inside a main method. Sorry guys, I forgot main method. Okay, user dot set id. You know how to use get us and set us method. I'm setting the id as 101 here, and user dot set name as ram. Okay, user dot set email, I'll just say ram at gmail.com. Okay, now I have set every attribute, sorry, every values to my object. Now I just have to save this object into my database. So what should I do? Okay, you have confusion why this entity manager we need. Okay, so we will just use the entity manager methods from entity manager and see what will happen. In order to save data, what we are going to use? We are going to use the persist method from entity manager. So I'll just call the entity manager type object and say persist. Okay, this is taking my user type object. I'll just say enter. So if we don't use transaction begin or transaction or sorry begin or commit methods, these begin and commit methods, what is going to happen is the first error is it is saying no persistence provider for the entity manager named Sigma. You remember I have passed the name sigma here. Okay, this sigma is getting me a connection, but it is the error is that there is no persistence provider at all with the name sigma. What is this persistent provider is nothing but a persistent.xml file itself. So what is this persistent.xml file? It is a configuration file. It is a standard configuration file which is used to store our data, you can tell, or pass our data. Okay, so I'll just say new and create a new folder, and every time your entity persistent.xml file should be created in a in a folder called meta, and it should be in caps meta hyphen inf, not dot or underscore. So many of you made mistakes. It is meta hyphen inf, and say enter. I created a folder meta hyphen inf, and will create we will create a XML file. I'll go to other and search for XML. Okay, here I have a suggestion XML file. I'll just click on it and say I have persistence. File name should be in a smaller case, persistence. Okay, persistence. I'll just enter. Okay, I have created a persistence.xml file now. Okay, and you don't need to worry much about persistent.xml file. It is already configured. I have shared you the code for this yesterday. If someone missed it, I'll be sharing the link to get this persistent.xml configurations. Okay, I'll just copy this here. Okay, I have copied that persistent.xml file into my project. Okay, it was from a different project, and I've copied into my project. Okay, then here a persistent.xml file have set of property tags, and each property tag has a name and value pair. Okay, it has a name saying java x.persistent.jdbc.driver, and when it is saying driver, you have to provide your driver class fully qualified name in a value attribute. Okay, whoever missed this class, just research on persistent.xml if you need more information. Okay, so property tag, next properties tag is asking for a url here. Java x.persistent.jdbc.url is asking for a database url, and I'm providing a database url here. Okay, our database url is so much itself until the port number is our database url. Okay, and next what I'm passing is the properties. So I'm just saying slash batch person. I will just say class 2 here. Okay, these are Hibernate class 2. So I'll just say class 2 as my database name. And we can specify Hibernate, or we can just say Hibernate to create database also here. Here in Hibernate, you'll not be creating database, you'll not be creating a table in your by yourself. Everything will be done by your Hibernate itself. What you have to say is just create database in create database if not exist equals true. Okay, so what this will particularly do is, if your database is not already present, if this particular class 2 is not present in my MySQL server, then it will create this per class 2's database into my server, this MySQL workbench, and it will create the tables inside that server, that database. Okay, so we'll see if there is any database called class 2 here. Okay, this is a magnifier. Let's search for a database called class 2. Class 2. There is no database with the name class 2. Okay, currently there is no database with the name class 2. So we'll just minimize this, and we'll come back to our Eclipse. So there is no database with the name class 2, and there are many more property tags. That is here taking username, and I'm passing it to root here, and it is taking password. I'm passing my password here. Okay, and these properties I'll be enclosing in a tag called properties. Okay, I'll be enclosing in a tag called properties, and this properties tag is enclosed in a tag called persistent unit. As I told in the beginning, the whatever the parameter that is that my entity create entity manager factory method is asking is this particular name of a persistent unit tag. Okay, that is what it is telling, persistent unit name. Okay, as I can show here if you want, this particular this particular entity manager factory, the parameter that it is asking is, if you go here and click on this, if you can see here, parameters, persistent unit name, the name of the persistence unit. Okay, you have to pass the name of the persistence unit. What this persistent unit is providing is a connection to the specified database. Okay, to connection to the specified database. Here I'm specifying it as a MySQL type database. I'm specifying the database name also here. Okay, and I'm specifying a name for this persistence unit. This one persistence unit is nothing but a connection to one particular database. Sir, I want to interact with another database tomorrow. You can, you can interact. Just create another persistence unit name. Okay, just create another persistence unit tag and create multiple properties here. Okay, if you want to create another persistent unit connection, just create properties tag here, properties tag here. Then inside that you can create properties name and value. It is accepting, it is asking a name and a value pair. You have to specify the particular name and specify the particular name and get connection to the different database. Okay, here you can say you a name as delta. This name you can give, specify it as anything, give your name itself, no issues. Okay, so like this one persistent unit is getting the connection to the specified database. Tomorrow I want another database name with class 3 also. Okay, I want to save data in two different databases. Specify the same thing and give a database name, different database name. So it will be dealing with two database name at a time. That's it. Okay, so we'll be dealing with the one database itself for now. I just showed you how we will create. Any issues? Okay, there's one issue. Okay, that's it. So I hope you got to understand what this persistent .xml file is doing. It is just giving you a connection to the database, and how you'll get connection by calling this name. By calling this name, you will be getting the connection. You don't have to pass your you don't have to specify your driver class name. You don't have to specify your URL. You don't have to specify your password. You don't have to specify your username or anything. It will give you it will get you a connection just by specifying its unit name. Okay, once you have to configure throughout your project, just once you have to configure this persistent.xml file, and it should be present in meta-inf folder, and it should be present in resources path. SRC main resources path itself, it should be present. Okay, later. Okay, now you got to know how you are getting a connection. Now let us say this particular error asks us there is no persistence provider. Now I have created a persistence provider. Let us run this program. Let us run this program and see what happens. There is still an error. What it is saying, unknown entity class, sorry, user. You have created a class called user, but Hibernate doesn't know for which class it has to create a table. Okay, you have specified, you have created a class called user, but it doesn't know for which class it has to create an object. Okay, because whenever you run the program, immediately your tables will be created, either you say or not. Okay, whenever you run your program, you immediately your tables will be created, but it will create based on a annotation. Okay, you can see here user davo is also a class, user is also a class. So how do you specify this is the particular class I'm going to create a table? Okay, just just you have to say add the rate entity. If you say add the rate entity, Hibernate will understand this is the specific, this is the particular class that I have to create a table for. Okay, now let me run this. Now let me run this and see what happens. Okay, there is still an error. What it is saying is no identifier specified. What is it saying basically is you have a class user. You said me to, Hibernate is telling me that you said me to create a entity, that create a table. But in order to create a table, I need a primary key. Without primary key, you cannot create a table anyhow. But which there are three attributes. There is user ID, username, user email. For which attribute I have to make a primary key, Hibernate doesn't know. You have to specify which attribute exactly is going to be my primary key. So that to specify, we have a annotation called ID. So above whichever attribute you say at the rate ID, that particular attribute will become ID. And the standard way, you have to make an integer or a numerical value as a primary key always. Okay, then now my Hibernate knows which is going to be the primary key also. Let us try to run this program. What happens, we'll see. Okay. As you can see here, my table user has been created, but I said persist. I said persist to my user, but it did not persist at all. Why? Because I did not tell my Hibernate that I'm going to begin my transaction. Okay. I did not tell my Hibernate that I'm going to begin transaction with my database. Okay. Without that, you cannot add data to the table. Okay. We'll check. It is saying that it is created table. As you can see here, the query create table user ID of integer not null user email of varchar 2255 length username, varchar 255 length, and primary key is user ID, all these things. Okay, we'll go to our database and check if our particular database and table is created or not. Let me search for my, where's the magnifier? It's here. Let me search for my database. What was my database name? Class 2. As you can see, a class 2 database is being created. Let us open and see. We have a table, and table also is being created. And as you can see, your class name itself is a table name here. Okay, and let me open this. As you can see, no data got inserted, and I have all my columns, that is user ID, user email, and username. Yes, right? Did I create this table? No. Did I create this database? No. Everything was done automatically by your Hibernate itself. Okay, so let me try to insert the data. You cannot insert the data without beginning the transaction. As I told you before, let me say et dot begin, and after beginning the transaction, you should must and should close the transaction. Okay, I'll just say I'm going to end my transaction with the database. I'll just say et dot commit. Okay, now let me try to run this program. As you can see, Hibernate created a query, insert into user email, username, user password, and it created a parameterized query, that is a dynamic query. Okay, now let us go and see in our database whether it is being inserted or not. Okay, I'll just refresh here. As you can see, it is directly being added. My email ID, the name which I specified is directly being added. I hope you people got what I did today. This was the same thing that I did yesterday. I took almost 1 hour to recap this. So guys, any doubts? Someone said no, sir. I'm surprised if someone is saying no, sir. Aman Kumar, you were absent, and that's not my issue. Parikshit, why didn't you understand? Please come and speak. What part didn't you understand?
I don't have
Yes,
any doubt.
Parikshit. You said you don't have any doubts. Okay, 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 fine. Aman, you
Yeah,
have any
sorry, I
doubts?
might have typed wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. Aman,
Yes, sir.
Aman, you have any
Yes, sir.
doubts?
No, no, no,
You
sir.
have any doubts? Oh,
No, sir.
okay. You don't have any doubts, right? Okay, fine, 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 Aman, fine, Aman. Okay. So assuming that you people understood, yeah, nice to know. Now I have perform my insert operation. If I run this program again, it will not work because 101 is a primary key and it is already present. If I run this now, if I run this now, it will throw me an exception. Okay. What is the exception? That is SQL integrity constraint violation exception. Okay. In mock, whoever have took mock here, you must be knowing by now what is this SQL integrity constraint violation exception. It is saying, you can see the message here, duplicate entry 101 for primary key user primary. Okay, you cannot specify another same value again. So in order to avoid complication while running this program, you cannot commit this much. Okay, so when I run this program, it will create some complications. Now I have showed you, now I have showed you how to insert the data. Let us see how to update this data. Okay, how to updating updating. Okay, how to update this data. In order to update data, okay, let us not go to update data for now. We will go to find data. Okay, we'll finding operation. How to find a data particular user. Okay, now I have a user. Let me just add two more users. Let me just add two more users so that it will be convenient for us to uh, just use this. So I'll just say, as for now, we will be typing, we will be hard coding and be learning. Okay, don't worry. But later we will be taking input from the console. Since we don't know the front end still, we will be taking input from the console. For now, I don't want to make it complicated for you people. So only I'm writing, I'm hard coding it here. Okay, I'll just say save and run. Okay, data got inserted. Let me go to my database and refresh it here. Yeah, data got inserted 102 also. Let me insert another data here. Let's say 3. Okay. Let's say Amit. Okay, let me run this program and no exceptions. The data is successfully inserted. Okay, fine. Now I have 3 datas in my database. Let me try to find that particular user. Okay, how to find a particular user? When we are doing finding operation, we don't have to begin transaction and end transaction. Okay, you don't have to begin and you don't have to commit, because it is not manipulating any data from the database. Okay, you're not manipulating any data from the database. Okay, so you'll just say em dot find. You have a method called find, and here this method will be taking two parameters. Okay, two parameters. What are the parameters is, if you hover on this. Okay, let me type out first. It will be taking your class name first, that is user. Okay, user is my class name, and I have to specify this is the class. Okay, I have to just extend with a dot class extension. Then here it is asking for a primary key of the user that I want to find. I want to find a person of primary key 2, of an ID 2. Primary key means my ID. Okay, my ID is a primary key, and I have passed 1 or 2 as the ID. Okay, I want to find a person of ID 102 of a user type class. Okay, of a user type class. I will just store this user in a user type object. Okay, now i'll just say I'll just print the name of this particular user. Okay, I'll just print the name of this particular user. Let's say user dot, we have a get method, get name, get name, get name. I'll just concatenate it with /t one time, and say user dot get email. Just concatenate with /time, and also let us print our user id, user dot get id. Okay, we zoom out this a bit. So I have found my user and trying to print that user, and we'll see if this works successfully. Okay, as you can see here, I have passed a 102 ID, and we have a person called Sam, and his Gmail ID is sam@gmail.com. Let us go to our Hibernate and check, is that correct? Is that correct? So you can see here, I'll just refresh to get our third one. Yeah, as you can see here, ID 102 is a person called Sam, and we have retrieved the same person while passing the ID here. Okay, as you can see, once you get this connection, once you get this three interface methods, you will be doing so much less codes. You will be writing so less codes. You are finding an object in a single line. You're for persisting an object in a single line by just calling a method and passing your user object. So basically, you're reducing your code and you're increasing your efficiency. Okay. So if you ask the parameters, what this find method is asking, it is basically it is basically, see, if you can see, parameters that it's accepting is a class, entity class, and a primary key. It is accepting two parameters, that is entity class and a primary key, okay, of that particular class. Okay, so I'm just passing my entity class, that which class I have to get the data from, and I'm just specifying which is the ID that I want to get. Let's say I want to print, I want to get a person of 103 ID. I'm just zoom out and just save this. Okay. Let me run and see what we will get. And you can see here, I have got a person called Amit with a Gmail ID, amit@gmail.com. Okay, so this is how you find an object. Next, next, let us try to update. Okay, let us try to update a data. In order to update a data, obviously you have to find a person already in the database. Yes, no, you hardly know which is the person. You have to first find the person, whoever it is. Let me create a user object. The user equals, I'll just call my entity manager object and say em dot find me a person from which with an ID, find me a user with a ID 101. Okay, I want to update this person. Okay, I want to update this person's name. This person's name is wrong, you think. Okay, so I have found a person called user. Now what I will do, I will just call that user object and say, I'll just set a new name for this. Okay, I didn't like the old name. I'll just set a new name here. Let me say, as Parth. Okay, let me say his name as Parth. Okay, now I have set a new name. Now what I have to do is I have to update here. I've just set a new name to this. I'm going to update this particular object into database. In order, when you are manipulating the data with the database, always you have to begin the transaction. I'll just say begin. Okay. Then I should, between this, just uh, let me just close the transaction also, or end the transaction also. In between this, I'll be interacting with the database. I'll just call merge method. Here, merge method will take a user type object or any object to, in order to merge the data in the database. So how is this merge method is working is, it will find, it will go and find in the database whether now this person, let me comment and tell you. As you can see here, I have found a user, and this user object has ID 101. Yes, right. And it has name, something, one of my first name was Ram, and it has a email, ram at gmail.com. Okay, this is the attribute that I have, that this person has. Okay, that this user has. Okay, this is the attribute that this user has. If you have any doubt, let us try to print this once again. Okay, I'll just comment this for now. Just comment this for now. Okay, I'll just comment this and try to get a person of ID 101. Okay, if you see here, the person from 101 id is of type, so is of name Ram, and ram at gmail.com email. Okay, now I want to change this Ram into Parth. Okay, so what I will do, I'll just comment this so that we'll avoid complications while running the program, and we will just uncomment this. As I said, 101 was the ID, Ram was the name, ram at gmail.com was the email, the person's email. Now, what this merge method will do is it will go for the database and check whether a person is present with the ID 101. Okay, whether a person is present with the ID 101. If there is a person present with the ID 101, then it will save this, it will change the Ram into Parth and save this object into database. Okay, if this person is not present with the ID 101, okay, if a person is not present with the ID 101, it will not save. Okay, so let us try to run this program and see what will happen. Okay, as you can see here, I found a user, select user, user ID as user ID, some SQL query it has generated, and using the user ID. You can see a parameterized query generated, user ID equals placeholder. It is taking the user ID that I have given and found a user for us. Then next, I told merge this object and it created a update query here. You can see update user set user email, username, user ID. Okay, so whatever this object is having, this object is having ID as 101 and name Parth. Now I have changed it to Parth, and email of ram at gmail.com. Okay, now this particular data is getting saved in the database. I have successfully saved, I think. Let me go and refresh this and see. Okay, this is the ID 101 and the person name is Ram here. Let me refresh it, and you can see it has successfully changed to Parth. Okay, fine. Now we know how to update the data using the merge method. Okay, so if I want to change this Parth into some other name. Okay, into some other name, I want to change this to Ram only. I don't want Parth because my user ID was also Ram. So let me keep it as Ram only. I just save this and run back again. Okay. Now again, I have successfully generated the query. That means I have successfully inserted my data into database. Let me go and check in the database once again. Let me refresh here. As you can see, the name is Parth here. I'll just refresh this and it has been successfully changed to Ram. Okay. This is how you will perform update operation. So now you know how to perform insert operation. If you pass, you cannot pass 104 because there is no person present in 104 id, and also you cannot reset the id. Okay, if you want, you can check here. It's a primary key and you cannot change the primary key once generated. Okay, I'll just say 104, set user id to 104. Okay, I'll just run this program and you get that exception. As you can see here, identifier and of identifier, the exception type is Hibernate exception, and you can see here it is saying identifier of an instance of com.ty.hibernate.class to user was altered from 101 to 104, and it is not possible once you generate an ID. Okay, error while committing the transaction. While committing the transaction, it was an error that your SQL did not allow you to change the ID of a person from 101 to 104. Okay, so you cannot change the ID of a person because you will be finding the person based on the primary key itself. Okay, if you try to alter the primary key, what's the point? The primary key should be unique, and since it is unique, it is permanent. You cannot alter primary key once generated. Okay, So it is not possible to set a primary key of a person, reset a primary key of a person, but you can definitely change the name or email or anything non-primary key attributes. Okay. So I think you got to understand what exactly um, we are doing in during updating. We are first finding a person through ID, and then we are updating him. Okay, you cannot directly update. You need to have a person to update, right? You need to fetch the person from the database, then you have to update him. I hope you got the point. Okay, now let us try to delete a person. Okay, we'll try to perform deleting operation. Deleting operation here again. In order to delete a person in the database, I have to get the person from the database. Okay, so I'll just say user user equals em dot find a user find a user, and I'll specify a primary key 103. I want to delete a person from a ID 103. Okay, okay. So here again, I am finding a person first. Now I have to delete this person. In order to delete this person, I have to begin a transaction because I am manipulating the data in the database. So I have to begin a transaction, and I have to say em dot remove. I have to call a remove method. This remove method will be taking an object. Okay, here we have a user object to delete, and I'll just say user. I'll pass user here, and I'll say em dot commit. As you can see here, for finding operation, nowhere I'm beginning the transaction or ending the transaction. Only for the manipulation. When I'm manipulating the data, or if for only for the DML operations, I will be beginning the transaction and committing the transaction. Okay, whether it is deleting or updating or inserting, I will be beginning the transaction, ending the transaction. In case of finding, or in case of DQL operation, I will not be beginning the transaction or ending the transaction. Okay, so I just said remove this user, particular user. Which user? This user. Okay, who is present in this user object? The one here. Okay, the one who is of 103 ID. We'll go to the database and check who is present in a ID 103. 103 ID is amit@gmail.com and a person named Amit. Okay, I'll just come back and try to run this program, and we'll see if it is successfully deleted or not. Okay, I'll just save this program and run it here. You can see Hibernate has successfully generated a query for me: delete from user where user ID equals placeholder. So that means I have successfully deleted this user. Let me try to go to my database. Let me try to go to my database and refresh this table. As you can see, I have deleted ID of 103. There is no person called Amit here. This is all you need in order to perform CRUD operations in Hibernate. And that simple it is. So any doubts, guys, on any point? Okay. 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 So now you're asking me to find all the users. Here you can see I have just found one user. I've just found one user. But how will you find all the users, or how will you find all the users of some specific type? Okay. You can fetch different types of data from the database. Just like when you're practicing SQL, you must have said, um, find all the users, but starting with the letter R. Like this type of query we will not be writing in our Java. Okay, it is of no use. But in case if you want to write such queries, or in case you want to fetch multiple objects, in that case we have to write a query. We have to write a query in order to fetch data from the database. Sir, you told We'll be completely eliminating SQL queries, and you are telling we have to write query now. I'll be telling you why, how we are doing that. Okay, how we are doing that, I'll be telling you. Just give me a second, guys. So in find method, we can persist the user instead of without. Shivam, can you come on speak? Shivam Vaish.
Hello.
Yes, Shivam. So
So
you're
in
asking me,
find
you're
method,
asking me,
we
can
are
we?
yes sir.
Yes, yes.
So in find method, your system dot out dot print to find to get the results, just a user ID, name, or a Gmail. We can persist the user object also.
In find method itself.
Yes sir. We can persist the user object.
See, find method is taking some parameters.
Yes sir.
Is
But
it taking
after
some
that,
parameters?
yes sir. But we are start the transition begin and then we persist the user object in that
I don't know what you're
instead of
telling, Shivam. I think I have understood so much. You're saying me that can we persist a user in a find method itself? How can you do that?
yes.
This find method is taking two parameters. It is
So
taking two
so it is
parameters.
a updating part. In I am telling about finding. In finding, we create a user object in which we find the user, we stored in the user,
Yeah.
and we printing by
Yes.
user dot get username. We having the
Okay.
data in the user object, and that user object we can persist.
No, no, no. You are using here get username, getter methods, not setter methods.
Yes, sir. So
You are
instead of
using
getting, we
getter
can
methods.
persist. Similarly, we can persist with as we can persisting in the upward in the matlab up.
No, 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 no. See, the object you're finding from the database is already something that is existing in the database. Okay. Further, you
Yes.
cannot save that particular data into database again. You have to, if you want to even save, it should be merged,
Okay, sir.
not a persist. You can persist a particular data only at once. Okay. Again, you cannot persist that same data.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So if you have a doubt, let me show you that also. Just commit this and go to our persist operation. Okay. Here I'm persisting a user 103. Currently my user 103 is not present. Okay. I just need this 103 person. Okay. I just run this and save this person. Successfully insert into user email, all this queries generated. And I'll go to my database. I'll go to my database and refresh. I have successfully inserted the data of 103. Okay. Now this person has been already inserted into database. Okay. You're telling me that if I find a person of 103 type, let me just oh, let me just copy this and I'll find this user itself. Okay, no, let's not write it here. Okay. I'll first find this person. Okay. I'll just say user one. Okay. And print this person. Okay. Just find this person and print this person over here. It is user one and user one. Okay. My object is user one. Okay. Now you're telling me after finding this person, can I persist the same object? It doesn't make sense, I know, but still, if for your convenience, I'm trying to do. So you are asking me to persist this data again. Yes, right. You're trying. I'll just comment this, and I have to persist the same person that I have found. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're telling me to persist this on same person. Okay, I'll just run this program and show you what will happen.
That is data ID is problem, right?
Did it persist? Did I generate the query of insert into user, all these things? It is not possible at all. I hope you got the answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got the answer, sir.
Okay. It is not possible. After persisting a person, you cannot persist the same person again. It is not possible at all. You can only update that person. I'll just say, I'll just say instead of persist, I'll just change this into merge. Okay. I have not altered any data, but still it will merge. Okay. I'll just say merge and execute this. It didn't execute only. Why? Did not begin to this one. Why so? Just a second. User, user one, possibility. It's perfectly fine. You know what's the issue? We'll try to run this code also. Both the same. It has no difference, but let's see. Don't think any difference will be. No. Okay. There is no operations performed after this. It just worked. This update not working. And find the user of 101 ID. Okay. Basically, I'm not changing any data. That is why it is not updating it again. I will just change the data and see what happens. Okay, now it is updating. So there is already same data present. That is why it is not updating, guys. That is why. That's it. Okay. Sorry for that. Okay, whatsoever. Just comment this back. And I hope you people have no doubts regarding this anymore. Any doubts, guys? Basically, you cannot persist a person. You cannot persist a person for the second time. We didn't persist a person or a merge a person without changing a data. If you're changing a data, obviously it should be of merge operation, not persist operation. Okay. So now someone asks, sir, we are finding a person. We are finding a person with ID 103 say, and we are just finding one person. So how do you find multiple persons at a time? Okay, here we have to write a query. We have to write a query. I'll just comment this and show you how to do that. How exactly to do that. Okay. Okay. In order to find multiple objects, we have to create a query, and our Hibernate has a method called create query. Okay, we can write in query inside this particular method. Okay. This particular method, as you can see here, if I zoom a little bit, just pass some string here for now. I'll just show you what this particular, see, as you can see, the parameters accepted by this create query method is a SQL string, QL string, Java persistence query string. Okay, here we are not actually writing our SQL query, but there is something called JPQL query. Okay, what is this JPQL query? I'll be saying it to now. Just concentrate here. Okay, just a minute, guys. You have a announcement. So to that. Hello. Good evening, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can take over. I'll just off stop presenting. Yeah, thank you. You have an announcement, guys. Just a minute. I'll just stop this presentation. Where it is.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, guys. This is Vashita from HR team. Am I audible? Okay. So this is your requirement. So please take a screenshot of this. So once you're done with your class, please go through once and then check it out. If you're suitable for this criteria, please ping your details to HR, your name, contact number, and company code.
Stream is CSIT only. Hello.
So please take a screenshot. I'll stop sharing the screen now.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Is there any job requirement for Pune location?
Please have a okay. Can you please send your name? Sorry, number in broadcast.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello,
So
ma'am.
I'll
Hello.
stop sharing the screen now. Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes.
The branch is only for CS and IT.
Okay.
The stream is only for CS and IT, or
Yes.
is there any for any other branch also?
So you're asking for another stream, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
No, only for two.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So if you have any inquiries regarding this requirement, yes. So that's it from my end, guys. So please contact to the HRs. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So come back here, guys. So someone is asking me that, sir, you told you can create multiple persistent units in a persistent.xml file, but I'm not able to do that. I will show you that by the end of this class. Let's not interrupt the process. Okay, I will be showing you. Don't worry. You can do that. Okay. I was talking about creating a query. Talking about creating a query, and I said you that we will not be able to pass SQL query, but we have to pass something called JPQL query. So how are we going to write this JPQL query is, okay. So let us learn what is this JPQL query is exactly. Okay. Okay. So what is this JPQL? JPQL query. Okay. What is the JPQL query is, instead of specifying your here in this particular query, instead of specifying the table name, instead of specifying the table name and column names, column names, you will be specifying, you will be specifying specifying your class name and class name and attributes name, attributes name. So for example, let me take a class user itself. Okay, I'm taking a class user, and here it has objects attributes id, name, and email. Okay, email, this is my class. And here, in order to fetch data from the user, right, how do we write SQL query? In order to fetch all the users from the database, how are we exactly going to write the SQL query? Maybe something like this, no? It will be like select asterisk from from the table name, say user. Okay, from user. This is the SQL query that we used to write in order to select every data from the user table. Yes. Now in the same way, in JPQL, you will not be specifying the this asterisk or this particular table name. Instead, you will be specifying objects. Okay, what are these objects? What is, say, I'm just translating here. You will be using select clause itself. Select, select. Okay, I'll just give a gap here and say from, select from. My class name is user. I'll just say user. Okay, I'll just say user. This is my class name, and I'll just say an object. Okay, user A. Select from user A. A. The query is like this: select A from user A. Okay, this A is your object of user now. Hope you got that. This A that I have declared is an object of user. Okay, we'll not be using SQL query, we'll be using JPQL query in a Java language. Okay, so this user is your class, and this object that you created is just telling, you just saying to fetch that object from the database. Okay, hope you got that. So here what it does, it will go to the table of name user. Obviously your class name and the table name will be same, and from there it will fetch all the data in the form of objects and get it to you. Okay, and why we are going to JPQL query exactly is here because we, most of us or most of the developers will not know the SQL queries. And to make it simple, we will just, we already know what's our table name. Yes, right. So we just create an object and tell to fetch object. Select A from user A. Okay. You have another table car. Okay. You'll just say select C, any variable, your wish. Select C from car C. That's it. You will get all the details that you want. Okay. We will try this how it works. We'll try this how it works. Let me say select, and my select, just say A. So let's say U. Okay, select U from My class name is user caps u. Okay, I will be specifying my class name user. Okay, caps u ser. Okay, that user, and I'll just variate u. Okay, that's it. And here query type object. What this query is? Query is an interface again from Java x.persistence, and I'll just create a variable list. Okay, I'll just create a variable called list. Query list equals em dot create query. This create query is returning an object. I can move this. If you hover on here, is returning an object of a query instance. Okay, it's returning a query instance, and I'll be getting that list and storing it here. Then, after getting your result it is stored in a list, you have to convert into a user type list. I'll just declare a list. Just declare a list of user type. It is not found. Let's see. User user equals. Okay, I have to import list first. Sorry, I didn't do that already. It's showing error. I've imported the list from different package, guys. That's it. It is not from java.util. That is why. I'll just rewrite this. So I'll just say list, have to import it from java.util package. Same to you, bro. Bye. Yeah. So we'll come back here. It will accept a user type objects, list of user type objects. I'll just say users equals. I'll just say, I'll just convert this query. I'll just call the list. That is my query object variable list dot get result list. There is a method, as you can see here, there is a method present called get result list, and it will result me a list type object. I'll just select this. Okay, it will result me a list type object. That's it. So now I'll be getting a list of users. This is how you will fetch a list of users into your a list of users into a database. Sorry, into your list type object. Okay, now let me iterate over them. I'll just use for each loop. I hope you all know for each loop. User colon users. Okay. Now I'll just sys out the objects directly. Okay. User. Okay, I'll just sys out objects. There are three columns present in my database, and they have to get three objects from the database. Let us see if we are getting three objects from the database. Okay. Let me run this program. And you can see there are three user objects we got. Okay, user, some reference id, user at 1290ed28 something, and we got another user object at C6 and user object here. So there are three user objects, and I found all print their data. You print their name, whatever you want. Any doubts, guys? Any doubts with this? Any doubts with the JPQL query? Janardhan, can you come and ask what's the doubt? That's what. What didn't you get it? Please come and speak. I can explain you again. What exactly you didn't understand, please specify, because there's a lot to tell. I want you to be specific.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes,
Sir,
I can hear you. Please speak.
Sir, if a user is a class, sir, user DTO class, sir,
Yes.
So, yes, user is a class, sir. All the data, sir, get and then put it into the
Yes.
users one by one means array list using array list, sir. For each. Why
It is a
list?
list. It is a list.
Okay, sir. Why? Okay, sir. Sir, why list? What is that? That symbol and then user. Why use that user in that list, sir?
Sorry, Janardhan, you're having some network issues, I think. I cannot hear anything what you're speaking. And I am clearly understanding one thing that you don't understand why am I storing into a list of users. Is that correct?
Sir, yes, sir. I got the question means what the question means. Why use the list of user? List users equal to list dot get result list, sir. But why
I'm
use list
specifying
of user?
I'm specifying which type of data I am getting.
Oh, okay, sir. Oh,
Which type of
okay, okay,
data am I accessing or getting? I'm requesting user type data. I'm getting a user type data. Okay. You can use a generic list.
oh, only user
Okay.
type data means what is that integer and then two strings
Yes.
only. We get that data only. Not another data will not
So
get that.
haven't you used, sorry, Janardana, this is a very basic core Java concept, and you should just look on the collections part a little.
Oh, okay, sir.
I want you to ask doubts regarding the JPQL query, regarding create query method. You have any doubts on that? If you have anyone have doubt on that, please come and ask. There is no time, hardly 8 minutes to 9. So anyone has any doubts, please come and ask. No, please come and ask. I told you. Please come and ask. Yes, we can use where clause, Sandesh. We can use where clause. Yes, Parikshit.
So
Yes, Parikshit.
in JPQL query, you have written select u from user u. So both the variables should be same. Like if we are
Yep.
using u,
Same.
we should use u
Yes.
the
Yes,
same variable.
exactly. See, how how is a data fetch from a database? First, your from clause will execute. Yes, right? Select
Yes, sir.
clause is the last clause that will get executed, right? So you're just
Yes, sir.
saying select user u. First, you're saying from user u, then it will go for the table user and select all the datas. Okay, every data is of user type only
Yes, sir.
in a user table. It goes. Okay, it will go and select in the database all the datas, all the datas of user type only. No, so it will select all of them. Then I'm telling select you, so it will select all of them and give it to me in a list.
Okay. Okay, sir.
You know how a query works, right? It will go to the table first. It from clause will execute first, then the select clause will execute.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may get confused that I'm saying select you first and then declaring the variable user you. It's right. That was your
Okay,
doubt.
it will work like a normal query.
Yes, yes, it will work as a normal query itself. But we will not be, because just because we will not be knowing what the database is, we will be using in terms of Java. We will be writing query in terms of Java. In bigger projects, you have no access to database. You don't know how tables are created. During that time, you have to write JPQL query. You have to work in terms of Java objects only. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So any doubts?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one more, sir.
So now, Sandesh is, yes, please.
So, like in persistence class,
Yes.
so like in persistence class, there is a like when we create a persistence.xml file, there is a normal line which
Yes.
is previously printed there. So should we remove that line? Because while I was trying it by myself, the
Yeah,
line, if the line
that
was
is the
there, it was showing
XML
an error.
configuration line. You can remove that and add again from the other XML file.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to remove it. As you can see, I will select that line, then only paste it on top of that. Okay, you should be removing that. Yeah. So now let us see how we can use a where clause in JPQL. Okay, using where clause is again different. I'll be coming to my whiteboard here again. I'll just show you how exactly we are going to write. Okay. So in terms of SQL query, how will you use a where clause? In terms of SQL query, you'll be writing something like this. Say I want to select a user of ID 102. Okay, 102. So I'll just say select asterisk from user table user, okay, where ID equals, in my case, the the column name is user ID. Okay, user ID equals 102. This is how we used to write the query in SQL. Just the way here also we will be using where clause itself, but in a different way. This is JPQL. In JPQL, how are you going to write exactly? You will just say again select and say a variable u from user u, where how do you access a variable of an object? Now u is an object. Okay, u is an object having id, name, and email. Okay, email. So how do you access this, access the data from the object? You will just call that variable and say u dot id. In the same way, you will be saying u dot user id equals 102. Okay, I said you we are dealing in terms of Java. Okay, this is an object of user, and I'll be calling that object u, where u dot user ID equals 102. User ID is a variable that I have declared inside my user class. Okay, so hope you got that. We will try to execute this here in our my Eclipse. Just come here and say where you select user from u, where u dot user id user id equals 102. And here I just have, I just use for each loop only, no issues. Okay, we'll just try to run this, and as you can see I have only got a one object. Let me try to print the attributes of this particular user dot get name. Let me try print a name of this person and check if that, if I have if I have fetched the correct person. We will go to our MySQL. I'll just zoom it and see the person with the ID user 102 is a Sam. Okay, so let us see if we are getting the same person in our query. Okay, I'll just run this, and as you can see I have got a person Sam itself. So any doubts guys with this, how to use a where clause? Any doubts? Okay, okay, I hope you all enjoyed today's class. And someone asked me, sir, I'm trying to create another persistent unit in persistent.xml file, but I'm not being able to do it. Okay, I'll just show you how to do it. Issue. Okay. So someone asked me, sir, can I create another persistent unit? I'll just show you how to do it. Just copy the same persistent unit. I have MySQL database only. That is why I'm going to use the same thing. Okay. I'll just copy this and paste it over here, and I'll just change the name to Delta. Okay. I'll just change the name to Delta, and here just change the name to Delta, and here I'll be creating a database called no. Okay, class 2 no. I'll just save it. So let us see if we are creating this class no. Okay, class 2 no. Okay, I'll just go to my user DAO and try to execute this insert operation once again. Okay, I'll try to insert this data once again with using the name Delta, not Sigma. This is Delta. Okay. Previously, previously I used this. This there are two persistent unit. Can you see? There is two persistent unit. One is Sigma, and one is Delta. Okay. This Sigma is connecting to a database called class 2, and this Delta is connecting to a database called class 2 no. Okay. I'll just save this. I'll just save this, and I have used Delta as my persistent unit name. I'll just run this now. And can you see a table is created, create table user, and can you see an insert operation is also perfectly done. Okay, I'll just go to my database and check if there is a class. If there is a class, I'll just refresh this before checking. Yeah, I've already got class 2 no. There is a database called class 2 no. I'll just zoom a little bit. There is a database called class 2 now, which I specified in Delta persistent unit, and there is should be a user table. Yes, there is a user table. I'll just go here and open. There is a data that I've inserted, that is Amit. So any doubt? Whoever asked, you don't need to know this, but if in case, just need to know how this persistent unit is working exactly. That is why we just wrote this. Okay, let this be. Don't worry. Any doubts, guys? Whoever asked, I want you to answer. Guys, tomorrow there is no holiday. That is the reason. Uh, I know you people have festivals, want to celebrate all these things. That is why I am keeping the revision class. Whoever wants JDBC revision, tomorrow you will get revisions. Are people understanding? So whoever wants JDBC revision, tomorrow is the session. Whoever was not present for the initial days, or whoever didn't attain the class properly, can take revision tomorrow on JDBC. Okay. Yeah. Only JDBC, nothing else. Only JDBC. Okay. Yeah. So whoever has missed the class, don't miss tomorrow. Exactly at 7, we will be starting the session, and I don't want people to be late. Hardly 2 hours will be getting, and it is very hard to complete whole JDBC concept or any few JDBC concepts in 2 hours. So I want you people to be on time. No, who is Shivam? Shivam, we have not done servlets. How can you do servlets without using database? You can do servlets, but it is waste of time. Okay, we will be starting servlets later after Hibernate. Okay, we just completed JDBC and we are into Hibernate from yesterday. If you are very new, I'm telling you. Okay, yeah, fine, it's okay. See, if don't want, we can. It depends on you guys. If you want, I'm telling you specifically, if you want to attain the class tomorrow, it will be of JDBC revision. So whoever has missed the classes can come tomorrow. Okay. Whoever wants the class, come tomorrow. Okay. Yamanathan, since how long you're into this class, man? You're asking a Discord link now again. Rutika. Yes, Rutika. What is your question? How many persistence we can create in a persistent.xml file? We can create n numbers, but can you remember n numbers of persistence unit? And why do you want a n numbers of persistent unit? Hardly some data we are going to save. Even though if we are using also, hardly it will be through 2 to 3 databases. Okay, so we'll be using 2 to 3 persistent unit, you can say. Okay, and nowhere throughout our code will be using multiple persistent units, so don't worry. How long Hibernate takes to complete? Depends, Vinod. I don't know. I thought to complete the CRUD operations yesterday itself, but it took till today. And we have mapping concepts from not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow. I'll be starting with Hibernate mapping concepts, and it will take around 4 days for that. Minimum of 4 days it will be taking. I don't know what max is. Okay, depends on how you people are grasping it. Don't mix up your JPQL query with SQL query, guys. U is an object of user type there in JPQL. That is why I told you so clearly that this is your object of user type. Okay, it is not similar to asterisk. It is nowhere similar to asterisk. It is working in a different way completely. Yes, you are object. You is a object, and you can name it anything. Don't say you have to say you only. Okay. Prajapati has a query. Sir, I have created the one package in yesterday's project. So as you told, today's uh, persistence file, we can have many persistent unit in order to add multiple databases. I did the same, but I'm getting error. Java.illegal state exception cannot get connection to the driver manager, is not properly initialized. Just see, it is the issue with your driver manager also, and just see you have wrote the code properly, and just see did you change the persistent unit name and the database name properly. Okay, you cannot have multiple persistent unit for the same database also. Okay, you have to change your database name and a um, persistent unit name, and make sure you're specifying the proper what persistent unit name, the correct persistent unit name in your entity manager, create entity manager factory method. Okay, so that's it for today. And if you want to take screenshot of today's code, you can take. This is a DO class. Take from user class itself. This is a user class. 10 seconds for each slide. So please take it again. Take it fast. Yeah. If you want this, it's not necessary. I know everyone will be knowing, even though some of you will be asking for this also. That is why I'm showing you this also. Please take it fast. Hope you took changing it. User DAO. So take a screenshot fast, guys. Okay. So hope you took the screenshot. I'm just moving up. So take a screenshot of this also. I've commented every operation because you cannot run multiple operations at a time. I mean, if you try to if you just keep your persistence bus or persist method open and you try to execute, it will try to insert that same data again and will show you errors. That is why I commented these things, okay, to avoid complications. So take this also. Yeah, this is all it is. Take a screenshot of this also. So this is specifically to find multiple objects. Okay. So now take a screenshot. Okay, so if you want a persistence, or I shared you, I have already shared you people the persistent.xml file. I don't think you people need it. If anyone wants, can take this also. And whoever don't have this link, whoever is new for today, I'll be sharing the GitHub link for you people, guys. Sorry, I forgot to share that. So whoever have not got the link, I think it is on one of your yeah, I'll be showing whiteboard also. Just a minute. Okay, people don't have the link. It's okay. I'll just go to my one of my projects. Okay, someone has shared the link. Thank you. Thank you, Chirag. I'm broadcasting this link for all of you. Whoever did not get this link, take it. Here you will get a persistent.xml file. You can just copy it and paste it. You don't have to type everything. Okay, persistent.xml is just static. It doesn't change. Just that you have to change your username, password, and URL, and it is ready to use. And you have to change your persistent unit name. If you don't want to change, you can keep it same only, no issues. Okay, so all of you got the persistence.xml file, I think. And anything left, guys? Anything left? Do I have to provide anything else for you people? Someone asked for, yeah, that's fine. I think that's it. And someone, Ritika or something,